Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Mark. So today I have a Halloween video of sorts. I'm doing some last minute decorating. It's the week before Halloween, and I like to use my collections, specifically my doll collection, in decorating for the holidays. And I have several dolls that are kind of spooky, so I like to use those for Halloween. So I'm going to break down how I did this hunt board and my process for it and how I kind of layer things and some tips and tricks for how you can use your collections to decorate by just adding a few things that are specific for the season. And I realize that not everybody who watches me has a doll collection, although a lot of my followers do because they know me from the doll world. But hopefully it'll inspire you to look at the collections that you do have a little bit differently, and maybe you can get some ideas on how you can pull those out and enjoy them for the holidays and make them part of your Halloween decorations. So come along. I have this hunt board here that is sort of in between the dining room and living room, and I always like to decorate it for the holidays. So I'm going to show you how I do that and the thought process behind it. These candlestick lamps stay all year. And then I like to think about levels. So I have cake stands, different stuff. I use them as cake stands, but then pull them out for your displays too, because why not? It's pretty. It elevates things, instead of buying risers that aren't pretty. They're just like acrylic blocks or whatever, which is fine. But again, use what you have. But even take a box and wrap it in wrapping paper or fabric. That works perfect. And I like to think about what I'm going to do. And I usually start with the biggest pieces I'm going to put on whatever I'm decorating. So in this case, it's these lanterns. And that's kind of my architectural elements. And then I know I'm going to want to use some of my Halloween cards and have some just sort of places for your eye to rest. Some more color. Because I wanted it to feel spooky and a little bit witchy, but not. I don't have a lot of specific Halloween decorations, but I have stuff that is Halloween adjacent. So I actually made this handmade. Now I'm going to want to put a doll in between the lanterns because I think that'll be kind of cool. So I like her there. I knew I wanted a special one on the cake stand. So I have her in her big sort of spooky ghost gown. And as you can see, your eye is kind of traveling. I wanted it to feel spooky and a little bit witchy, but not. I don't have a lot of specific Halloween decorations, but I have stuff that is Halloween adjacent. So I actually made this handmade. Maybe I should do a video of how I did this. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested. Because I'm always looking for interesting wall art. And it's expensive, and this was not. But I liked this. I liked this moth. So we're gonna put that, we're gonna use that on one of the plate stands or picture stands. Again, I like to do odd numbers. So 1, 3, 5. I know I have 2 lanterns, so I'm breaking the rule already, and 2 lamps, but it's not hard and fast, but it does help when you're arranging things. So 3 dolls we're gonna do it in this arrangement, which I think is nice. And you see, I'm kind of picking up the purple. So you think about your color story, group like things together, and you'll have something that works really well, I think. And if you're stuck, that's a good way to start. What's the same color? What's, oh, I like this picture. What do I have that would go with this picture? That kind of thing. I also have this bottle that I got, this kind of potion bottle that I got, I don't know, like 3 years ago. And I think that's cool. So we're going to put that there. I always think about darker things too. You don't want just all bright and light. You want some darker things in there too that kind of punctuate. They're almost like the punctuation in a sentence, but for your decorations, right? It kind of shows your eye where to stop. When there's something darker, when everything else is kind of the same tone, it just jumps out in a different way. I have one of my Halloween cards. I think we're going to put that stand. That stand is huge for it, but I ran out of the little ones, so it's fine. And that just, and again, I like to like layers, you know what I mean? Don't have everything in the same plane. You want to think of stuff in your foreground and then like in the mid and then the background. And that gives it depth and makes it really interesting. Then I wanted to do something that made it a little more Halloween. So where are they? Ah, here. Okay. So I have these pumpkins that you've seen elsewhere in my videos, but these were just these little, you know, you can buy bags of these pumpkins at Michael's, and then I put glitter on them because I did a Cinderella tree one year and I wanted the pumpkins to look magical. But I think it works because my kind of Halloween tends to be a little bit more vintage and elegant. So sparkly pumpkins kind of work. I think I need another pumpkin here and I want something bigger. So I like that guy. I wanted some pumpkins here. So I'm just sort of nestling things in. I like the green with it. I think the green kind of sets things off. And this one, he has seen better days. Look at that. But you tuck it in the corner and nobody knows, right? And I think we're going to put those off to the side there. Now, again, you might not have dolls, but if you have teapots, that could be cool to, and then you maybe display them with some dried roses or some fake flowers that are spooky and in dark colors, you know, dark purples and reds. So whatever collection you have, think of something that you can add to it that makes it feel Halloween-y. But like silver candlesticks, a collection, even if you just have a bunch of candlesticks, you can put those out and add some cool, there's a lot of Halloween foliage that you can buy, and you can add that to it, and that's a cool centerpiece. So you don't have to go out and spend a ton, and you can still have something that's Halloween and spooky and cool for the season. Another spot that is prime for decorating for the holidays is this little chest that I have in the entryway. And year-round, there's always something on it. This is a swan, obviously, but it's a wooden swan that actually is very special. And maybe I'll do a video all about that swan one day. I have some money plant that was from a very dear friend that she used to grow in her garden, and she's not with us anymore. So those are very special, and those we've had those for ages. But I love them. And then a vase from another very dear person who is no longer here. So yeah, it's just, but this is what it started. This is what it looks like. This is like perfectly fine for the year, right? And then I have a lot of one-off pumpkins that have just been sort of collected. Don't scoff at that. When you find a cute pumpkin in the thrift store or in the discount bin at Michael's at the end of the season, if you like it, get it, because you just like put a bunch of odd things together and they work, you know? Not unlike theater, which is my background. And then I'm just going to put these two little pumpkins there. Great, right? And then if you watch my unboxing videos, I have this doll that's based on, it's inspired by the Wednesday series. It was done by the Tonner Doll Company, inspired by Wednesday. And I think she kind of feels like black swan coated. So I'm just going to move the vase a little bit and then kind of tuck her in. And then you kind of have a little dark glamour black swan, and it feels more Halloween coated now. So again, you don't have to break the bank. A couple pumpkins and a figurine or doll or teddy bear that you already have can be tucked in and make it feel like Halloween. This is the dresser that I'm going to start with here. I have this little curio on the top that I put scrapbook paper in the back of, just different patterns of scrapbook paper. A little random little bench thing. I don't know, it was a little display piece. And then this little metal box display piece that I put some scrapbook paper in the bottom of for just a little harlequin floor. and then the lamp. So this is what we're starting with. I got these little dolls last year. No, 2 years ago, I think. Or more, I can't remember. Anyway, they came up on some ad on social media and I bought them. So I used these to put in this little curio in these little displays. And I'll show you how I do that. I made these little display pieces. I got these paper mushrooms at Michael's, and then I just have a little piece of scrapbook paper that I cut, or cardstock, and then some moss, and glued that on and kind of tucked it in. I think maybe we'll do this one like that. Oh, there we go. And I put some of them in the back, some of them towards the front. Sort of building. See how that one's far away, this one's in the middle, that one's far away. So they're not all on the same side. So I put the 3 little witches here with their little mushrooms, and then I put the other mushrooms in here, the single ones. I also had these little apples, and I just glued them together into a little stack because I thought that was kind of cute, and maybe have one of the little boy dolls kind of with a stack of apples. What? I think I want to put a pumpkin back here, and then she can sort of rest on the pumpkin, and she's maybe pondering a spell she's going to cast on this mushroom. But I have other little pumpkins. I have more moss that I can fill in afterwards, and some acorns that I collected on some walks with Emmett. And then maybe there's this little acorn here. Oh, maybe she's got some leaves that fell behind her. I think in the back, her little hat can sort of be there. I think this guy is maybe hanging out with some pumpkins. And pumpkins and a mushroom? I don't know. That seems crazy. And maybe whatever this thing is. Just kind of fill in where I feel like it needs something, you know? Yeah, I think this is just reindeer moss, they call it. You can get that at Michael's. And then I got to figure out what's going to go in these two. But I think we're done. Got to think about these spaces here. Not sure what I'm going to do. I had these little Halloween, I don't know, they're little tea light holders. But I just put some fairy lights behind them to kind of illuminate them. I thought they were cool. I had one over here. The lights show up better in person, but you get the idea. And then over here, I always like to work in levels because I think it's more interesting. And I pulled out some Christmas bears, actually, from my mom's collection. And I took off their Christmas costumes. And I'm just gonna nestle some bears in here. Because again, use what you have, you know? And this Christmas bear, I took his Christmas coat off, and then I made a little felt mask for him and used some of the leftover ribbon from the tree to give him a Halloween bow. And now he's a Halloween decoration. And then I have, this was a little fox from my little collection, and I thought he looked kind of cute tucked in here. But if you only have one of something, then you can kind of feature it. And then I want some more height in the back there. I do have this little tree. Again, my mom came through. She found that at a thrift store for $1. But there's only one of them. But I think it works elevated here and in the mirror, so I'm kind of getting 2 of them. And then I just took one of my Halloween cards I printed out and didn't add any extra trim or anything to it. But I thought that looked kind of nice behind everybody. And there you have it. Let me know in the comments if you have any collections that you think you might bring out and use to decorate for the holidays. I'm going to do the same thing around Christmas time too, so stay tuned for those videos. I have lots of Christmas content planned, crafts, ornaments, decorating, all that good stuff. I have some doll content planned for those of you who are here for that. I'm also planning a video to go to one of my favorite places and kind of just talk about the channel and where I see it going. And it'll be something completely different from what we've done on the channel so far. And that's about it. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I can't believe we've already blown past 1,000 subscribers. So thank you to everybody who has subscribed and is watching. I appreciate it more than I can possibly say. So if you want to watch some of my other videos, you can click on one of these and yeah, keep the fun going and just hang out with me a little bit more. So happy Halloween, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.